Passion, purpose, possibilities. They're all right there. But sometimes we need a little push. And that's where SheSez comes in. Think of it as a master class taught by the world's most interesting women, sharing stories and ideas, because girlfriends help each other. This is SheSez with Linda Grasso. Hello and welcome to SheSez. My guest today is Sue Cowie, founder of The Fine Line. The online magazine, aimed at women over the age of 45, covers beauty, fashion, food, well-being, fitness, basically all aspects of living a good life. Sue kicked off The Fine Line 9 months ago after a successful career in retail. She owned a home interiors boutique, Cowie, in Venice for 8 years. But when rents skyrocketed, she was forced to close. Sue then did something healthy. She took time off and a deep breath. A year or so later, she was ready to rev back up. As a well-connected entrepreneur with a great track record, she felt the possibilities were endless. But much to her surprise, and in fact bewilderment, Sue couldn't get a job. After some deep soul-searching and the realization that, as she puts it, no one was going to hire me, Sue, along with a partner, kicked off The Fine Line. Sue, welcome. Thanks so much for coming in. It's so great to have you. I want to start by talking about when you were running Cowie in Venice.
Yeah.
You'd done it for 8 years. Mm-hmm. Were you tiring of it at all? I mean, I know that you were sort of forced out by the skyrocketing rents along Abbot Kinney, but were you sensing it was time to make a change?
Absolutely. And the studio boutique was on Abbot Kinney. So when we opened, it was really gritty and artsy, and I loved it, and it was exciting. And then the street just skyrocketed, and there were a lot of tourists, and certainly the locals stopped shopping there. And so we could see that perhaps there was an end in sight. So it wasn't a surprise.
Yeah, and I bring that up also because, I think as women, that was changing,
yeah.
And you were recognizing that. I think it's so hard to when you have something good and it's going to make a change. I mean, you do know what I'm saying? It's scary out there.
It's sad and it's scary. Yeah, it's a loss,
So after you took some time off, I think you said it was 14 months exactly. Yeah. There came a time when you felt, okay, I'm ready to dive back in. What did you originally want to do at that point?
Well, I think it was a mix. Was I going to kind of not do anything? And then I realized I have so much creativity and so much experience. And I've got a good 30, 45 years left. I'm going to do something, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to do something. So,
and I also want to dive in right here and point out that you had even before Cowie, your store, you had a successful athletic wear company that you had designed, right? You were the designer and you sold it successfully.
We manufactured and designed a line of athletic clothing.
So you were kind of a Renaissance woman.
I had an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
I love to create things. If I see an opportunity, I love to create things. So when Cowie closed, it was a time of reflection and a time of, what's next.
But you were optimistic.
Oh yeah. I mean, there are moments in time where you think, okay, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do now? What's next for me? And I had this experience with design and decorating. So I thought perhaps I'll try the work world, get a job, which I hadn't done in years and years. So creating a resume was a project in and of itself.
Now, how old were you at this point?
I was 57-ish, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you got your resume together.
Yeah.
It looked pretty darn good.
It looked okay. Yeah, that was interesting. And I started searching around for job opportunities that had some connection to my background with design, decorating, and I found a few companies that were looking for help with international accessory buying, or they had online businesses, and I thought, that's great. I mean, I have the experience. I have a really great design eye. I'd be fantastic. And so and I was about to send my resume in, and I thought, let me just check out a little bit more about this one company. And I hit the About Us page, and there was a video, and I hit the video, and it was the most startling, shocking visual when I saw this group of about 25 employees, and they were all 25, 26, 24. And it was like I was in the middle of a football stadium and all these floodlights just hit me. Like, oh my God. It was a realization that I'm in my 50s. There's no way these guys are going to hire me or want me in their office space. It was shocking. I sent my resume off, and as expected, I didn't hear back, of course.
It is funny how, with age and everything, there are these moments.
Yeah.
We're all going on with our lives and, we don't think about age. I certainly don't every day.
No.
And then you have these seminal moments in life where it just hits you and you're like, I'm not young anymore.
That's right.
And I've had that before as well. It's shocking.
Yeah. It's scary.
So at that point, you started rethinking it.
Yeah. I think I sent my resume off to, 2 or 3 companies and nothing. And I thought, okay. Well, and at the same time, I was, working out at the gym, which I've done most of my life. And in, having a little more time at the gym, I was chit-chatting with a lot of women in their 40s and 50s. And this was over a period of several months. And there was this common thread in the conversation, this need, this excitement to talk about our age. It was like a network. And it just inspired me. I would come home from the gym every day and I'd be like, well, this is really interesting. Like, there's something there. I mean, it took some time for me to kind of percolate. What is it? Where is this going? What could this be? And I started poking around on the internet, and I realized there was really nothing on the internet that spoke to me as a modern woman in her late 50s. Like, everything that was out there just seemed a little aged, a little pharmaceutical, a little plastic surgery. It was like, wait a minute, I'm not that woman, I'm modern, I'm consider myself pretty cool, sexy, fit, 100%. Healthy.
And for anyone who's listening to this in podcast form and who has never seen Sue, go ahead and Google her right now, because she is.
Thank you.
I mean, what an inspiration. I'm just going to describe you right now. We're just cutting in for a minute. We'll get back to the reinvention, girls. Hang on. She is completely buff, cut. I mean, in my prime, I worked out every day and I never looked like you.
Thank you.
I mean, you're just beautiful. You're stunning. You are the picture of invigoration and energy and health. I mean,
this is 60.
Oh,
right?
Man. And God damn it.
Let's change this conversation.
To me, I mean, I don't want to say you're at your prime because that means you're going to go past it and go down soon. But I don't care how old you are. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
So anyhow, jump back in. You're at the gym. You're talking about this space, and you're talking about the post-40 space.
Yeah.
And how women are saying, "I feel great. I've got this energy. I want to embrace my age."
Or I don't feel great. Or I'm looking for something. Or what are people saying? Or what are women talking about? And it just led me to do this research, which then kind of snowballed into a lot of research. And then I thought, okay, what can I do with this? What's the solution here? Does Sue Cowie start a blog? No, I'm not really a bloggy person. I'm not really good at writing. And then I started looking at different websites, and I thought, you know what? I want to start a website for women over 45.
It's so interesting. It's just so interesting that, you kind of came to that, because I've been thinking for years, ever since More Magazine closed doors, there isn't a space that covers all those sort of lifestyle categories.
Right.
So it was so interesting when I met you. I was like, and when someone pointed me to the fine line, I thought, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, it's been a work in progress, obviously. And I mean, I think really it's just about changing the conversation about aging for women. It's women in their 40s, women in their 50s, we go through a lot of changes at this time in our life, right? Whether you're approaching menopause, perimenopause, you're suddenly without a job, you're suddenly realizing, my God, my face, my boobs, my body have just dropped.
Yeah, the boobs thing is just killing me.
It's just like, what?
It's just awful. I forget about the crow's feet. No.
That word acceptance has to has come to me. I mean, it's something I've embraced. It's not been easy, but there's the alternative. What? It's not good.
So you come up with this concept, and you're researching it. You're trying to learn about it. Critical thing that you did was get a partner, and that person was an online.
Allison
came from
Allison Hatfield.
Daily Candy.
Yeah, Daily Candy. She's brilliant. She's a journalist. She's a writer. She's passionate about. She's in her late 40s. She's passionate about this subject, and she wanted to be a part of it. And it's without her, the fine line wouldn't have all its legs. And she has really brought so much and taught me so much. She's just incredible. So together, we have the same vision, the same passion, and we are creating a fabulous platform.
I hope you don't mind me pointing this out, but you're self-financing it, right?
Correct.
You haven't taken on any angel investors or anything like that.
That is the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodness, Sue, that's big.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that risk and that feeling of, I mean, obviously you're very passionate about it and you've done your homework, but that's a big thing to do at 60 years old.
Yeah. And in preparation for the launch, I'll tell you a little funny story. I thought, okay, well, I was in the process of embracing social media, which is a huge part of having a digital publication, and something that was intimidating to me, and I didn't understand and didn't realize when I had this vision and this idea that I would have to really get behind social media. And I thought, okay, well, on my personal Facebook page, which I hadn't had very long, I'm going to post some pictures of myself. And I'm not that person I don't do a lot of images of myself. And so I did it in some workout attire. So I'm getting ready, and I thought, okay, if I'm going to post these images, I need to attach my age to it. It took me, Linda, like 2 weeks to find the courage to say, at that point I was 59. And my partner said to me, "You don't think your friends on Facebook know you're in your 50s?" I'm like, oh, God. I thought about that.
Secret's out, people. The secret's out.
It's like that's back to what you said. I live in this bubble. I think I'm in my 40s,
Yeah, I think I'm in my 30s.
Yeah.
It's just something is very wrong with me.
Right.
No, but I mean, in your head, you and really, truthfully, there are times when you look in the mirror and you're like,
yeah.
But most of the time, I don't. And so therefore, and in the inside, you're the same. I mean, in so many ways, I don't know how you feel, but aside from owning myself and feeling a bit more confident about who I am and knowing myself, I could, for all intents and purposes, still be 25.
Exactly.
No,
give me 40. I don't want to be 25.
So you partner, you get a partner, and
Allison.
It must have been fantastic when you and Allison first started meeting and crafting and creating something.
Yes,
was it exciting?
Too. It was exciting. It was scary. But, even on my days when I had doubts, the passion doesn't waver, right? Because I feel so passionate about this subject. And I feel so passionate about women and aging. Mm-hmm. I think there's some struggles there. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday who is a man, and he is also embracing this age group. But he's incorporating men into the equation. And I said, it's interesting because, I love men, nothing wrong with men, but I think their experience with aging is a lot different. So, there are women that, for sure, they don't have the struggles perhaps that some women have. But I think we all, even if it's for a minute or a month or a year, we have these moments where we go, oh my God, it's changing. Things are just changing, and it takes a while to absorb that and accept it and come to terms with it, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Even losing your period.
Well.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a change.
Yeah.
Suddenly, we have a story on the fine line where you've had this thing with you for I don't know how many years, and then it's gone. And how does that feel? Mm-hmm. Like this all, it's interesting.
So you've been online for 9 months.
Yeah.
How's it going? It's
fantastic.
Tell me about the journey, and tell me about indicators that you have from the external world that it's working, that you're resonating, and that this is a good direction for you to be moving in.
I will say for anyone considering any online endeavors, there are moments of sheer terror where you are completely isolated and you wonder to yourself, how is is this working? And there's no one to talk to and no one to compare, how are we doing except each other? And you kind of say, are we doing okay? Well, I think we're doing okay. But one thing that is encouraging and has always been encouraging is the engagement. So women are engaged. And they let you know. They're pretty honest at this age. We like this. We're not crazy about that. And you learn. So our content is constantly being tweaked. We realize now what our audience, what our readers are looking for. And we've also come to understand that women in their 40s are looking for something different than women in their 50s, and women in their 60s are in a different place in their life and are looking for different content. So you have to adjust. The content on the fine line is adjusted to that. And we have one area called Real Talk.
Tell me about that.
Yeah.
That's a cornerstone feature that you do. Tell me about it.
And it's a place where we're creating personal essays on the struggles, the challenges, the comedy, the joy of aging. And we're collecting some great essays from, one, as I mentioned, on the losing our period, to a woman in a yoga class who finally gets into a headstand only to see a reflection of herself in the mirror in her jog bra and went, oh my God, as the skin is embracing it with a bit of humor. And there's another story, I think it's actually one of my stories about finding work in the workplace at 59 and how challenging and shocking that was to realize, well, you may not get a job. You may not get hired, and it's just a reality. So,
So you seem like you've always been that you've always had a positive mindset. And obviously a can-do spirit. You went from manufacturing athletic wear to having your own, store in LA. I mean, Venice, even back in the day when Abbott Kinney wasn't so hoity-toity and chic.
No.
Still, that's a big endeavor.
Yeah.
It'd be so easy for somebody to sit back and say, well, she's obviously a very confident, capable woman. Do you see yourself at that? Do you think that someone who with less can-do spirit can still achieve post-40, post-50? I mean, it's easy to write you up as a type, is what I'm saying. Do you think that someone who isn't your type still has a chance of doing something wildly off the beaten path and owning it like you have done?
Yeah. And a word that comes to mind is curiosity, right? How curious are you? Because I think we've all had our share of challenges. I came from a really tough background. So where I am today is just a work in progress. I've worked through a lot of stuff and overcome a lot of things. And with that, I think comes survival skills and strength and vision and passion. But I think, it depends what you want. Do you, a lot of women say to me, God, I wish I had a body like that. Well, are you willing to change certain things in your life? Are you willing to do research? Are you willing to change what you eat? Are you willing to, drink lots of water? Are you willing to go to the gym? Are you willing to move? Are you willing to make changes? Yeah, I think we all have it inside of us, and some of us are not maybe as inspired, and it might be scary. So, perhaps there has to be something that inspires you, that pulls you along, that says, hey, not everyone is going to go out and start their own company.
What would you consider sort of the most critical thing that you did in coming up with your idea and executing it? Was it the amount of research you did? Was it finding the right partner? Where did it really start to take steam?
Right. Well, I'll say the first thing I will say is that I I think I've always recognized my weaknesses. And what I recognized with the fine line was, well, okay, you want to start this publication, but you have zero, underline, zero experience in media, publishing, and the online world. So for me, it was the same with culture when I started. I didn't have any experience in retail or interiors. I always surround myself with experts. Mm-hmm. That's been really important for me. And, somebody asked me a question the other day, what would you tell someone that wanted to start a business on the web, online? And my response is research, 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 because if you don't really understand what your audience wants and why they want it, you're probably going to miss the boat. I think it's really important. So for me, it was certainly, and it still is, experts. Find out and talk to other people and really find out what you need to make this thing successful and understand who else is doing maybe not exactly the same as you, but who else is doing something that's similar, and study them. Mm-hmm. So.
What is your ultimate hope for the fine line? I mean, what are your goals? Do you is there a certain amount of people you want to have your e-newsletter or hits a month? Or is it something more not tangible? Like, is it like you said before, I want to change the way women think about aging. Yeah. I want them to embrace it. I mean, what are some of your personal milestones? Because I get you're more about, I mean, you're not just doing little snippets of this. You have a larger picture.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why pushing aside the idea of a blog was important for me, because I wanted this to be a bigger platform. And I think it's so important, especially in American culture more than European or South American culture, to really change the conversation about women and age, right? So along with making the fine line the number one resource for women to feel proud to read and go to as a resource for not only serious topics, but topics that are just relatable. Mm-hmm. Like, we get you, we understand you, right?
Yeah, in a language that we're speaking.
Yeah, that we're speaking. I think it's so important that we just change. We have to change so many mindsets, right? There's so much ageism out there. There's we're going, as we grow, we're going to be talking to a lot of brands about sponsoring certain posts on the fine line or advertising with us. And there's a mindset. There's a mindset around brands wanting to put dollars to this age group.
Well, I have to ask you about that, because they always say that brands are really interested in the 18 to 35 or 34 demographic, which I really never understood, because nobody I know in that age group has any money,
right?
Unless you're in Hollywood. But no, seriously, the real money is, people that are post 35, really post 40 and post 50. So I've never really understood that. Do you think that there are sponsorship and advertising dollars that will come your way, even though, that large brands, for a large part, have been dismissive of the post-40 category?
Yeah.
Particularly women.
I think the needle is moving ever so slowly. And you're absolutely right. I think a lot of brands, they haven't until now found this age group sexy. We're not sexy. We have the money, and we're those millennials, those younger women, probably getting the money from us, right, from their parents. And I wonder too if they don't think, well, if we put our attention on this older group of women, are we going to lose the younger group too? And how do you mesh that together so that you can keep both sides? But I think there are certain brands, and we're actually doing a story on it, brands that have embraced women over 45, over 50, I mean, Lauren Hutton's still working at 72. Yay,
Yeah, but she's one of the few.
She's one of a few. So we have hope. And I think when brands, athletic brands, clothing brands, perhaps see women like myself and a plethora of other women that we've gathered in our community that are fit and sexy and healthy.
Yeah.
Put some clothes on us.
Absolutely.
Maybe you'd open the door for a whole new group of buyers. And anyway, so I think it's moving. The needle's moving slowly.
I love hearing that.
Yeah.
Sue, we end every episode of She Says with 3 takeaways, and they're takeaways from our discussion. 3 things that I think are the most important bullet points for women to think about after the show's over. I think one of them is that a really good point that you made is surround yourself with experts. Would you agree that's an important takeaway?
Yes.
Be willing to change.
Yes. Be curious and be willing to change.
Whether it's, learning a new skill like social media or simply changing your diet and your workout routine to feel better.
Yeah.
Because when you feel better, you think better.
Yep.
I think that anyhow.
Yeah.
What would the third takeaway be from today's discussion? What's one other really important thing that women can learn from our talk today?
As it relates to starting a business?
It doesn't have to be business, because I don't really think about SheSez as a platform for women starting a business. I think SheSez is really a platform for seeing the possibilities.
Right.
I think it's incumbent upon us as women, you could call us mature women, post-40 women, whatever, to take new paths, to get new mindsets, new ideas. I think it's about refreshing and renewing.
Yeah.
It could be a job. It could be a nonprofit. But, when you're 40, 45 years old and you're going to live 50 more years, yes, you should be thinking about what you're going to do. When you've taken 15 years off or 20 years to be a stay-at-home mom, the possibilities should be endless. Yeah. What is it you want to do? So apropos to that, as opposed to starting a company.
I say, embrace it. Embrace the change. Embrace your age. The possibilities are endless. It's not over, right? When you get to 50, 60, 70, it's not over. Stay healthy. Keep this body, which is attached to your brain, by the way. A lot of people are they forget that your brain, your head and your body are attached. So
indeed, the head and the body are attached.
Right? So look after the body, the vessel, and, stay fit, stay healthy, stay involved, stay current. Mm-hmm. Don't, turn your nose up at what the kids are doing, because it's important. It's important to embrace that. It'll keep you current. It'll keep you young, keep your mind active.
It just makes me smile, because once I started SheSez, I started buffing up on social media as well. And I think it was like the longest discussion my 19-year-old and I have had was when he taught me Instagram. Thank you, Nick. In any case, I've loved chatting with you, Sue Cowie, every minute of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Linda.
And thank you to all of you for listening. I so appreciate it. You can download more SheSez on SheSez.com, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave a comment. We're really interested in your feedback. You can follow us, like us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks again.